Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Diamond Crystal, also known as the Gallivanting Grandma, and it is Friday. Yay! I don't know when I'm gonna post this video, so it might not be Friday when you're actually seeing it, but trust me, this is the beginning of the very long weekend, 4th of July weekend, and it's Friday. So I am excited because I am committed to bringing to you through my YouTube channel, some of the incredible women that I come into contact through this international travel journey that I'm on. And I am excited to bring to you today my Facebook and social media friend, Nana JuJu. Hold on one second. All right. JuJu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. You're on, girl.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. All right. So first of all, that backdrop looks majestic. Tell us where you are.
I'm in Albania, a little town called Fenik. It's about 15 minutes from Saran, which has gotten really popular because of the beautiful beaches.
Okay. So you got a combination of mountains and beaches where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Fantastic. All right. So I have been knowing JuJu on social media for at least 3 years, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like right coming out of the pandemic, we started talking on
Right.
social media and found out that we had quite a few things in common,
hmm
including being in the DC area for some time,
hmm
right? House sitting. And we're going to talk about house sitting a little bit because you got a very unique journey going on. First of all, let me just say that this is Mrs. JuJu, right? You got a
Yeah.
whole husband at home.
That's funny. That's funny. I still go by Miss. I still go by.
Okay.
Yeah. I kept my name, and I still go by Miss Harris because I am my own person.
Yes, you are, honey. Yes, you are. So, inquiring minds want to know because we have a lot of sisters in the Sisters Who Sit house sitting Facebook group who are married, but they are sitting with their husbands or significant others or partners, but you don't do that. So,
Yeah.
everybody want to know what's the secret sauce.
Okay, so I was in the Peace Corps in Paraguay in 1996, and that's where I met my husband, Valentin. So we dated for about seven, no, not even 7 months. We dated for like 3 months, and then I
Uh-huh.
had to go back home because there was a problem in my village, and we kept in contact. And then after 7 months, I went back to figure out what I was going to do about him. And so we ended up living in a house that he was building in one of the pueblos. This is completely without power tools, all hand cut,
Goodness.
stuff. Yeah, it was slabs of wood. It was very rustic. So we lived in this house that he was building for my host sisters, and I cooked over a fire on the floor. I had him dig me a hole and make me a nice clean latrine, and we called it paradise
Girl.
because it was so clean. Because there was like a communal one down in the center, but I'm not using that, babe.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We took baths out of wash pans, and it's hauling water from a well from about 50 feet away. So it was a whole scene there. So when we decided to get married, that was kind of a little thing because I decided I wanted to be with him. Um, Wait, I'm getting a little confused about my story. So we dated.
Take
Yes.
your time, because this is too interesting.
Okay. We dated for 3 months. I went home for 7 months, and when I was leaving, he said, we need 7 months to get our lives together so we can be together for the rest of our lives. And I was like, all right, dude, I'm going home. I'm on a plane. But I just couldn't get him out of my mind.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, I needed to see him in person to make this decision about him. Like, okay, am I going to be with him? Because I just felt like it wasn't this decision I can make through letters because phone calls are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Letters, it took 3 weeks for a letter to get there and then 3 weeks to get back. So I was like, no, I just need to go and see him face to face. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I got back. We had a very intense conversation. Decided we were going to be together. We moved to this house out in the countryside where he was building stuff, and it was super rustic. And then we moved to the capital, and he built me a massage table, and I started doing massage for volunteers. And so then, we were decided we're going to be together, but the question was how to get him into the country. And so
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, we could get you a boyfriend visa. And with a boyfriend visa, they can come into the country for 3 months.
Oh
And then you
wow.
either marry them or they got to leave. And I
Uh-huh.
said, no, no, it's easier to get a husband visa. Let's just get married. And then if I get sick of you, I'll just divorce you and send you back or whatever.
Girl.
And then I know, I'm a Scorpio, I'm cold. Um, and then I said, no, if I'm going to marry you, I'm going to marry you for the right reasons. Okay. And so then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I love him enough to marry him. And
Uh-huh.
so then I said, well, look, but you have to understand this. When I was younger, I never took the time to run around the world and see things and go to different countries and meet people. And, I said, and I know I have to do that at some point in my life before I die. So
Uh-huh.
just basically heads up, I'm going to leave you at some point.
Mm.
And so he said, okay, well, if you feel like you need to do that, I'll stay home and take care of the children and the kid and the house. I said, great, awesome. You got a green card, I got a carpenter. And so we got married there. And then during that time, my mom moved from California to Maryland. So I went back to Maryland first, got a job like 3 days after I got to DC, and brought him up 2 months later. And yeah, so we've been married for 25 years, and
Girl.
we decided to have a kid right off because I was 33, 30, yeah, I was
Okay.
about
Okay.
30, 34 already. So I was like, yeah, if we're gonna have a kid, we'll go ahead and do it now. And yeah, and then we have two sons together who are 21 and 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Handsome young men, I must add.
Well, thank
Um,
you. Those teams did well.
my goodness. So what I heard was you first of all were very set in what it is that you wanted to do with your life,
Hmm.
regardless of whether you married Valentine or not. You
Yes.
already knew what you wanted your life to look like. And
Hmm.
so you were in total full disclosure mode with this man. Like, yo,
Hmm.
we can do this if you with A, B, and C. And oh, by the way, I'm probably going to be gone more than I'm home, right? But you stay in the workshop and do all the things I want done while I'm gone.
Yeah. Well,
What?
I mean, it was unusual. I mean, I think that was really unusual because ever since I was a kid, all my games were about traveling with my
Uh-huh.
dolls. They were making rafts. They were like, carving out wood so they could make a canoe. They were flying away in balloons. Once I saw Star Trek, they were beaming from one planet to the next. So it's always been in my head that I have got to just go.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I feel like I've traveled enough to know that people are the same pretty much everywhere.
Yes.
It's just those little differences that make it interesting. And
Yeah.
then for Valentine to agree to that was really exceptional because he was Paraguayan, he's a Latino.
Mm-hmm.
And the reports I got about him was that he had been very macho and very controlling
Yeah. Well, that's a
beforehand.
patriarchal society over there. So, it's like,
Yeah, well, I mean, and also too, when we first started dating, he had these ways, and I was just like, oh no. I said, look, I'm a 33-year-old black woman. If you want
mm-hmm,
someone you can control, you need to date a 13-year-old girl like your homeboys do, because you can't do that with me. And
mm-hmm.
so, if you want to be with me, you have to learn things differently. And he's like, I want to learn a new way, and I'm like, oh, you'll learn a new way, all right.
You
And
gonna learn
so,
today.
you gonna learn today, exactly. You gonna learn today. And so, yeah, so that was really exceptional for him to say, okay, because, most of the time the men are like, no, you can't do that. You can't. And I was like, mm-mm, men don't tell me no. You tell
Oh,
me no, I
girl.
don't listen,
Listen,
basically, unless
I
it's,
absolutely,
rational.
I love this. He is exceptional. And I'm sure the ladies that are listening are probably like, does he have an uncle, a cousin, a brother? Like, where can we get us a Valentine, right? Like, let you do, not let you do, support you in
Exactly.
doing what
Yes.
it is that makes your heart happy. And I
Right.
would imagine if either one of my husbands had that type of frame of mind, I still might be married to one of them,
Mm,
but neither of them did, right? And that's
mm,
generally the course as women, and particularly Black women. When we decide that we're going to marry or partner up, we tend to put our desires and our dreams on a shelf,
mm,
or we tend to combine them or try to combine them with dreams of our partner. And I know in my case, that was definitely how
mm,
it went down. It was like, okay, yeah, we both want to travel, but how about when we're retired? Or how about
mm.
when the kids are grown and all those things? And that's not what I'm hearing from your story at all.
No, no, and I was married before too,
Uh huh.
and that husband, he's one of my Facebook friends now, he's a very cool guy. He's a forestry professor now,
Okay.
and, one summer, he was gonna go off somewhere, I can't remember where, to work, to do, like, an internship, and someone offered me to asked me, did I wanna come to Italy to, nanny their grandchildren,
Uh
and so I
huh.
was talking about it, and he was like, "You keep talking about Italy, Italy, but you don't say anything about us," and I'm like, "Well, what about us? This is about me.
This
You
is
have"
about me.
Right, you are doing what you wanna do. Your passion, your love is forestry. I'm supporting you in that. That's what you're about. But this is something I wanna do for myself. I
Right.
ended up not doing it, which is why I'm just, like, running into Italy with my arms wide open now, like, "Hey, here I am, I'm coming." And then
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
about, like, letting it's funny because when I meet people and I'm telling them my story, they're like, "Oh, your husband's letting you do that?" And I was like, "My husband doesn't let me do anything."
Right.
So explaining
Yeah.
that to people is that's also very exceptional too. People are like, "Oh, wow, my husband would never go for that." And I'm
Right,
like, "Okay."
right,
Mm,
right. Well, everybody doesn't have a Valentine.
no, no.
So at the end of the day, yes, he is a very special person. But you're a very special individual as well. And I say special in all the good senses of the word. Hey, y'all, who's in the background? Who am I waving at
Oh,
back
this is
there?
Antoine. This is the Frenchman. Hey, man.
Hey,
Hello.
Frenchman,
He's
how are you?
one of my coworkers. You're one of
Right,
the hotties.
What
bonjour.
is that? Ooh, hello.
Mwah. Listen,
He's lovely.
so that gets me into just a conversation about some of the, I call them non traditional countries for Black women that
Mm,
you have visited and that you have embraced. I mean, your husband is not really from, Central America. He's from South America,
yeah.
way South America, right? Which is
Mhm,
completely different. So when we think about, yeah, I might, meet somebody here or there, and when we start talking about destinations that we desire,
mhm.
um, just to visit, or in our instance, to house sit, I don't think Albania and a couple of other places that you've been really come up high on the list. So let's talk
Mhm.
about some of the non traditional, unconventional places that you find to house sit and nanny and all the other things.
Okay, let's see. Well, one of my favorite place I've been so far has been the goat farm in the Piemonte of, Italy.
Okay.
And when I was a little girl, and that's not unusual, but I think the goat farm
The goat farm,
the goat
yes.
farm piece
Yes.
is the weirdness. When I was a little girl, I read Heidi over and over and over. So somehow I was like, I need to go be with goats. I have to be with goats. I
Yeah.
got to go to Switzerland. And then along the way, Italy got into my mind. So I said, okay, well, the first place I'm going to go then is an Italian goat farm. So I
Uh-huh.
did that through WOOFing, which is Worldwide Organization of Organic Farms. And you go and you work on a farm 20 hours a week. And they give you room and board. And
Hmm.
so I went to Piemonte, and I was milking the goats, learning how to milk the goats. I was mucking out the stable. I really ended up helping Hannah, the wife, more. And now she's one of my best friends. I've been back
Hmm.
twice
Hmm.
since then, twice or three times since then I've been back. So yeah, the goat farm, you don't find Black women on goat farms in Italy.
Or too much anywhere else, right?
It's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Let's see, where else has been unusual? I went to Croatia.
Yeah,
And
that's
Croatia,
high on my list. That's high on my list.
Yeah, and I had the Croatian thing in my head because I was a huge Game of Thrones fan. But
Yeah.
then I found out that cities where they filmed it were just crowded, and I was like, no, no, I don't want to go there. Primarily Dubrovnik and Split. So I said, no, I want to go someplace else. And I'm not really a city person. I like
Mhm.
quiet and country, as you can see from the things in back of
Yes.
me, the mountains. So I went to Croatia. I took the ferry from Italy to Zadar, and
Mhm.
then the bus up. And I stayed with the family first for a month on their homestead. And this was in a village that had been abandoned for 30 years
Mhm.
because during the Serbian-Croatian War, the Serbs had been I don't know if they were forced out or they had left, but this was in one of 4 houses that was occupied in this village, and we were at the
Mhm.
end of the road. And so, complete dark, no street lights, amazing stars. I ended up just kind of helping out with the house instead of doing farm work. And it's
Mhm.
funny because there I actually kind of became sort of this like Iyanla Van Zant because
Yeah.
yeah, the couple were kind of having some difficulties, but they both just started talking to me, and it was really interesting.
Yeah.
They both confided in me, and I was talking to them about the things I had gone through with my own marriage that I could see was kind of happening in theirs, and that was really unusual because one of the things I've learned is that I always get out of these experiences something I never expected.
Yes.
So what I got out of that experience was like, well, let me think about how I talk to my husband. Like, what is our relationship like?
Right.
And so that was a really eye-opening one.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went further north in Croatia, and I house sat for 6 dogs and 4 cats. And that was fun. It was beautiful.
You already know where I'm going with that one,
Yes,
right?
yes, ma'am.
You already know where I'm going. First of all, let me give a shout out to my whoever my wine sponsor is going to be because I know my wine sponsor is on the way. So let me toast up to you, wine sponsor. Mm. Okay. She says something like double digit animals.
Mm.
And in my group, my sisters who sit know that I'm all about the luxury. So I am posted up here in beautiful Puerto Rico for 35 days in the penthouse, 16th floor, and just all the amenities, right? Because that's what I like when I house it, when I travel.
Mm.
But there's one thing I can always depend on. I don't care how quirky the sit is. I don't care what kind of animal is listed. I don't care. Juju gonna pop in and say, I do it. Just slide in there like with a little I do it. I think we had something that says 16 cats or something like that. And you
Oh,
said you
yeah,
do
the
it.
lady with the 12 cats. Mhm.
And then there was no. All right. So everybody knows that there's a loving cat lover out there who wants multiples. All right, we can stretch our imagination. The one that took my breath away was just recent when somebody had raccoons, and you said, "I do it."
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I have well, not a whole lot of experience with raccoons, but they're very intelligent, inquisitive animals.
Yes, they
They can
are
be
because they
really
get all up in our trash cans.
yeah, yeah, and I used to wanna be a veterinarian, so I had volunteered at the SPCA, and they had a raccoon there at one point, and, I loved that thing. Loved
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. All right, so now you're making it make more sense to me. You
Mm,
used to want to be a veterinarian,
yes.
so you have a genuine love for all kinds of animals. So
Mhm.
there's kind of nothing that's off limits for you. Is that what I'm hearing? What would you
Uh,
not take care of?
I don't like frogs. I would not take care of someone's frogs.
Uh huh.
Um And I think that's about it. I mean, I don't have a fear of snakes or tarantulas or anything like that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's just amphibians. I would not want to take care of those.
Okay.
And at one point, we had 15 animals in our house, and it was like a 3-to-1 animal to each person in the house. It was, I'm like Miss Doolittle.
I was
Yeah.
about to say your whole family is like a Doolittle. That's how I describe my Layla Sage, my granddaughter, because she's been sitting with me now the whole time that I've been sitting. She's been on and off, and she loves animals. So I
Mm.
call her a mini Doolittle, and she probably would embrace a raccoon, but she will never get that opportunity with
That's
this
funny.
gallivanting grandma. Okay, let me
That's
just make
funny.
that clear. That's not gonna happen. Yeah. So, like I said, I depend on you for comic relief when I put up those posts that I say to myself when I'm putting it up. I'm like, everybody gonna be like, "What, child? No, girl, bye." Until
Yeah,
JuJu fall in there and say, "Yeah, I do
yeah, it's gotten to the point where like, oh, send this to JuJu, basically.
it."
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Oh,
I've done
you,
sheep and chickens and
yeah.
a bunch of animals, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting because I did spend summers. I grew up in New York
Oh,
and spent summers in South Carolina because, it was like you getting off the streets of Brooklyn
ah,
during the summertime. So we went down like day after school was let out. We were in the car driving down to South Carolina to my grandparents' farm. So I did have, some hands on experience with livestock.
mhm.
That's a part of my past. I don't. I'm not embracing that part of my life. But I'm glad that there are sisters who sit like you out there who, are like, listen, bring it on.
Bring it on. Yep.
Bring it on. Why not? And that leads me to my next question or observation, I'm going to call it, because I do follow you on your social footprint.
Uh,
Um, and I see that gardening is a huge part of your life. And,
mhm.
and I see it almost as therapy. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about gardening as therapy.
Sure. So I live in Maryland. I'm about 15 minutes outside the capital, and we have half an acre. My husband keeps bees. I think we have maybe 12 or 14 hives currently.
Wow,
Yeah, a lot. Beautiful. Oh, the honey's incredible.
I can
And,
imagine.
when we first moved into our house, it was just all grass and ivy. And I grew up in California during a drought, so, I'm
Mhm.
really into native plants. Like, what can survive in this environment without being coddled? And
Right.
just little by little, we started, or I guess more so me. Like, I feel like I'm the one who says, "Let's do this," and Valley's a carpenter, and so he'll build what I need.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah. You
yeah.
do a good
So
job of documenting his work. You're gonna make some ladies really jealous. I'm telling you now. They're gonna be in the Home Depot looking for a husband now.
That's funny. Yeah, so just little by little, we started reclaiming it. First thing we did was just dig great big beds in the front lawn, and people would actually slow down to look at them because it's like, what
Mm-hmm.
are you doing here? They'd never seen
Mm-hmm.
gardening like that in Maryland or in our part of Maryland anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I just took the whole lawn out because it's like, why am I watering something I'm going to cut? And I mean, composted it, but it's not
Okay.
edible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I just started like, I don't know if any of you are, fans of Star Trek. They have one of the aliens was called the Borg, and the Borg
Okay.
would just go through the universe assimilating
Thank you.
other civilizations.
That's the dog walker. Have a great
So
weekend.
that's so
Sorry.
nice. Yeah, so the Borg go through assimilating civilization. So I just assimilate space. So I'm like the Borg at home. So like,
Okay.
oh, it's empty, I'll take it and do something with it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I eventually pulled up all the grass, expanded the beds. I started going to plant swaps to get free plants and looking on like Craigslist and stuff to get free plants. I've been gardening for, let's see, I'm 60. So I've been gardening for, I'd say 40 years. And I mean, I'm way back. I remember having a garden with my mom.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so I just made it into like a little paradise.
Yeah.
My home, I call it my home sweet home or
Mm-hmm.
mugwort manor because I planted a whole lot of mugwort. And mugwort is a dream herb. And so I kind
Okay.
of feel like there, like if you could come to my house and dream about making what you want happen. And I have had this idea for a very long time of having a retreat center for women, but
Yeah.
one that was really affordable. like
Uh-huh.
really affordable, like sliding scale, like 0 to whatever you want to pay.
Okay.
Because at one point, especially like early in our marriage, and then when we had the 7 kids, especially, I was stressed out to the max, and money
Yes.
was super tight. I didn't have money to go to a spa or take a little mini vacation or anything. So I wanted to just have a place where primarily women can come, just
Yeah, I
sit,
love
um,
that.
yeah, sit, take a nap. I have an outside clawfoot tub on the patio, and just walk, and it's just so quiet there. It's like a secret garden. That's a book
Yes,
I
that's
really
what it
loved when I was
sounds
younger.
like. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to tell you, by following your social footprint, that none of this surprises me.
Ah.
Um, it really doesn't, because the essence of who you are really comes through in your posts, and that's why
Ah.
I want to talk to you, because you got kind of this Earth Mother kind of vibe, but then
Yeah.
you got that zany side, as
Yeah.
well, and being able to embrace and express all of that. And let me just pause by saying, you said 60, and viewers, black don't crack, because you could never tell that you were 60, my sister. You are looking fabulous, and it must be all that fresh air and all the holistic living that you have centered yourself around.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be, transparent, I really struggled with depression a lot when I was younger, and a lot in early on in this marriage, and pretty much through the whole first marriage.
Uh-huh.
And so once, I got myself straight and was able to see clearly, I just the world is amazing.
Yes.
That's the thing to me. The world is
Yes.
amazing. And a couple of things I've seen in my life have really stuck with me. And one of them was seeing Elie Wiesel. He was a child when he lived through the Holocaust,
Uh-huh.
and it was a interview. He was being interviewed by Oprah, and she
Okay.
said, after seeing so many horrible things, how is it that you can still find joy? And he said,
Mhm.
how can I not find joy in the simplest things after going through something like that? He's like, the a child's laugh, a butterfly, a cup of tea. These are things to be celebrated. And
Yes.
another, I have this written printed on my wall by Edwidge Danticat, and she said, "A simple life, no, a simple meal like the simplest life is cause for celebration." And
Yes.
so this, I really do feel like life is a gift, because there were times when I just didn't want to be here because I just was in so much mental pain.
Yeah.
And so yeah, every moment is a blessing and is a gift, and I do try to, really live that fully and slowing
Hmm.
down. I mean, just today it was so interesting, just slowing down, like holding still, so many things you can see, you know? Yeah,
And when you are quiet, it's amazing what you can hear.
yeah.
And, it never ceases to amaze me when I have friends, really good sister friends, who they sleep with the TV on. They
Mm,
always got to have noise going on in their background. There's never any quiet. And
mm,
so I struggle to stay centered when I'm visiting, because
okay.
they not changing their life just because I dropped in or anything like that, right?
Mm,
It ain't happening. But I find myself like really seeking the quiet, because that's when I can really hear
mhm,
inside. My intuition then starts to speak up,
right.
and I can make more clear decisions. I talk to a lot of women through my consultations, and I encourage them to at least start your day out with some quiet. If you are
Mm,
still in the workplace or whatever you're doing, life pulls us here, there, and everywhere. But you got to carve out some time to listen to yourself.
right.
You know,
Exactly. Because we just leap into our days most of the time.
do mode. You got to
Yeah.
do all the time.
Gotta do mode, and, the other thing too is, I mentioned we had 7 kids, so we had our 2, my husband's children, and my nephew, and I
Okay.
I just was exhausted. I was exhausted trying to just pull everything together, and, at one point during that time, I found out about a, people of color, meditation retreat in Maine, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And so, I just told Valley, I was like, "I've got to go. I can't function." I need a break. And I
Mm-hmm.
went and I realized at one point, you can sit and meditate or you can walk and meditate. And so I got up and I went outside and stood under an apple tree. And I
Yeah.
realized it was the first time in over a year where I had held still. And
Wow.
so, yeah, I was like, because I was constantly like thinking about the kids and it's like, I can just
Absolutely.
stand here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't quiet the noise in your head long enough to hear from your inner self.
Hmm.
Um, and I have said in different interviews, I've known a lot of types of women in my life, and I've been a lot of types of women in my life. I've known strong women, resilient women, sad, happy. I never knew a woman who was intentional about rest. I never knew a woman who rested. And
Hmm.
so that was a foreign concept to me,
Hmm.
because I was always type A, very, get it done and get it done right. And I'm still a recovering type A, to a
Oh,
certain extent. But I have learned that that doesn't best serve my soul
no,
at
no.
all. So you're gonna have a lot of women hitting you up like, "Where's that couch in the backyard you was talking about?"
Yeah, yeah, I got into that, the rest thing when I was in my first marriage. There was I would always say, I need my quiet time." And so
Yeah.
I'd lay down on the sofa with my gardening books,
Hmm.
and my cat, and that was my quiet time, and I'd just
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
and I'd rest and I'd doze off. And then when I was in Peace Corps in Paraguay, it's built into their culture, the siesta, because it's so hot. And so, I
Yes.
just got used to stopping for 2 hours a day just to take a rest. So when I got back to the States, it's just like, wait, how do people function without a
How do
siesta?
you function without a nap?
Yeah.
That if there was one thing I could tell my former self, my little girl self, you
Mhm.
gotta embrace these naps, girl, because you're gonna need them. You need them, and
Yeah.
it's restorative,
Yeah.
right?
There's the nap ministry going on.
Hmm.
Are you
Hmm.
familiar with that?
I
The
am
nap.
not.
Oh, it's called the nap ministry.
I'm
And
gonna give it an amen. It sounds like it's something that I could get
yeah,
behind.
and it's a black woman. It's a black woman who
That's
founded it.
astounding.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, the value of rest, I think, again, has been such a foreign concept because we have been socialized. It has been in our DNA. We were brought
Mm,
here to work, right?
mhm.
So the idea of having an entire day off,
Right.
foreign.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They couldn't fathom that. We've got a lot of people who are still in the workplace. Yesterday was Independence Day, and so they got
Mhm.
like a 4-day weekend.
Mhm. Yeah. No,
You know,
that time of rest. I mean, when we had the 4 kids, it was so intense. I'm not the 4 kids, the 7 kids.
seven.
And so, yeah, 7. So then I made Sundays. It was called Ask Poppy Day, and then
Yeah,
my thing was like, unless you have been decapitated or you're on fire, do not ask me for a ding dong thing.
I done
And
changed my name. It is not mommy.
right, and, yeah, and I said, "Zazu got a pass because he was still nursing, so he was the only one who could come and have a request, but everyone else
Uh-huh.
was like, 'Just leave me alone.'" And even after I downsized my family and got down to 2 kids, it was still Sundays are Ask Poppy Day, just
Right.
I need a moment to just not be in charge and thinking and doing.
Right, right. And kudos to you for being able to recognize that. And then for your family to respect that boundary,
Mhm,
because I think a lot of women try to institute these kinds of boundaries in their lifestyle, maybe a little later down the road, but their unit is not receptive to it.
yeah,
So, they still knocking on the door. When you go to the bathroom, it's like this dog that I'm sitting. I can't go to the bathroom by myself without this dog.
mhm,
They don't respect the boundaries. And I see that a lot with my daughter as a single mom. She struggles because, yeah, you need to spend the time and she's raising a young lady and all the things, but you got to have some you time. Otherwise, you
mhm,
have else to pour into your family, into
right.
yourself, really, when you exhaust all of your energy reserves.
Yeah, and then I have sons, and so for me too, it's really important to teach them that women need some space.
Girls,
We need, we need some space, we need some time to sit, just give me space. And it's actually one of the first things I told Valentine too when we were, he's come a courting, and I said, "Look, let me tell you something. I am me. I,
Yeah.
I said, let me tell you something, because in Paraguay there were certain days for courting. So
Oh,
if you were like the number one girl, he came around on Tuesday and Saturdays. If you're number two girl, he came around on Wednesdays and like Friday evenings or something. And I was like, no, I am the only one. Thank you, first of all.
only. I'm not
And
number one or two. I'm the
right.
only.
Yes, and then I said, and I'm gonna also tell you that, if you come over and I don't want to be bothered, I'm gonna tell you you have to go because I need space. I said, if you want me to dislike you quickly, crowd me. I need space. I need time. It's just I do have this. I wouldn't call it an independent streak. It's just like I just kind of know what I need to do to function best.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those types of things just don't serve you well. And being able to recognize that very early in a relationship, again, probably is why you guys are still successfully married because, you know, you put those things out front. You put those things out front. It's the
Yeah.
things that we're not transparent about when our representative is courting, as you said, right?
Mm,
That we don't put out front because we don't want to push them away or we don't want to scare them away or yeah, all those things that come into the minds of women as they're dating.
right. Yeah.
But
Oh,
your message is very loud and very clear. Don't compromise yourself.
no.
If a person is truly interested in you as another human, then they will respect your boundaries
Hmm.
and they will support what it is that you want to do in your life. So, girl, you got it going on. You got the best of all those worlds.
Yeah, he's pretty great. I mean, when I started this, there's a blog on a post on my blog, and I talk about having a marriage sabbatical. I mean, that was
Uh-huh.
this is, I think I had um my mother and my father were married for 40 years until he died.
God bless.
And but they
Mhm.
had very, very kind of separate lives within the household. So that's my model, really. My mom, they had separate bedrooms, they had separate times they got up, they had different hobbies, and so I really picked up this message that you could have a whatever, however you, I don't know, define successful. You could have a marriage and still be your own person. You didn't have to meld and blend into this person and disappear and lose yourself.
And
Um,
isn't that the norm?
I think
That's really the norm.
I think that is a lot of the norm. And I mean, I really thinking about this. There was a lot of pushback that I had with Valentine because he started kind of trying to do that like macho, well, you're my wife thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm your wife, but I'm Juju. I'm was Juju
Yes.
before I even knew Paraguay was a place, and I'm not going to let that Juju die just because she's married to you
Right.
and is the mother of your children. You
Right.
know, this
Right.
Juju's not going to die. I'm not going to let her.
Well, I take my hat off to you because I will say, in my second marriage, let me rephrase that. In my last marriage, last in every sense of the word, um, I did tend to lose myself. So I
Mm,
had to take what you call the marriage sabbatical, but I had to take it for myself, and
mm,
that ended in divorce. Because
mm,
this is no longer serving me. The
mm,
adultery, of course, helped to push it over. But at the end of the day, I realized that this is not a relationship that really serves me. And so
mm.
let me step back and take a break. And that's exactly what I've done. And I think I'm on a sabbatical from men in general at this point. Anything that looks like it's trying to be too serious. You know what
Oh,
I mean? And the only
yeah.
way I would entertain having like a full-time partner would have to be something like you described. Like maybe you live next door. And,
Mm,
and we want to spend time together, you come on over or I'll come on over and then we go home
yeah.
to our separate abodes. I mean, I don't know, but what you're saying is sky's the limits and don't limit yourself
Right. Yeah. And then
when
also
it comes
too,
to
I mean, I think one of, like you said, it's successful for 25 years. I mean, it's gone through some really rough patches. I mean,
uh-huh.
there were a couple of
Oh,
times
there's
during this
always stories, right?
25 years I was like, you know what? Ugh. And then also, I mean, I also told him last fall, just kind of the culmination of several things. I was like, our marriage is over.
Mm.
This old marriage is over. I don't
Mm.
want to repeat any of this. I don't want to drag this forward. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
This has got to end. And so this is a new marriage. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't quite sure at the time what I wanted that new marriage to look like, but this is
Yes.
a new marriage.
I love it.
And yeah, it's a new marriage. And so, there's some parameters that I was like, all right, this is how I need to work this with this. Are you willing to work with this too? And
Hmm.
it's, I mean, gradually, we've come to the point, and it's really lovely. It is really lovely because there was a lot of like towards him
Yeah,
for a
of
while,
course. Yeah.
where it's beautiful again
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
We're separate. I mean, we live in the same house together, but
Hmm.
we're separated. He has his bedroom, I have my bedroom.
Uh-huh.
But I had to figure out, what do we do best together? We create a beautiful garden, and we've created beautiful children, and we know how to work together.
Yeah.
And so let us. And I think that happens in a lot of marriages. You become more
Hmm.
housemates, and it's
Yep.
it's a comfortable thing for both of us right now. It
I hear
works.
you, girl. I hear you 100%. And I think that more women, if they had that presence of mind, could
Mm,
salvage marriages, relationships, if they had that open, transparent communication. This is
mm,
not working for me anymore.
mm.
We're not good when we do this together. So how about if we try it that way? And
Right.
to have a man be receptive to the conversation, first of all. Are you joking me right now?
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I don't know. Valley's he's a piece of work. He really is. I mean, I know he really loves me, and I really love him too.
yeah,
But
he does. I ain't
it,
never met the man a day in my life, but he love you, girl.
or he's just yeah, he loves me. But it's really funny because something popped up where on my Facebook, and my mom said to me, "Oh, it was our 20th anniversary," and she said, "Well, what are you doing for him for your anniversary?" I said, "Nothing special." And she said, "Look, any man who could put up with you for 20 years deserves something special. I'll pay for the party." And I was like, "Gee, thanks, mom." But we
Oh
do
wow.
have. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I mean, this trip has really been about me doing a lot of work on myself and my
Yes.
thoughts, my expectations of myself, of him. Acceptance and forgiveness has been a big part of this
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
traveling too, like working on that. And so I really feel like I'm able to go forward with him in a much healthier way than the way
Wow.
we've been kind of dragging our butts through the last however many years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think every relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a business relationship, whatever it is, requires a pivot every once in a while. You know,
Hmm.
life throws us changes. And
Yeah.
if we don't allow ourselves to embrace the change, first of all, recognize the change, right? Embrace the change and then try to do something positive with the change, then you're right. It's going to die. It's going to stay in that
Hmm.
stagnant state, right?
Yeah.
as,
Exactly.
as a gardener, if the climate changes and you don't get enough rain or you don't get enough sunshine, then you're gonna have to plant something different.
Right, or prune things,
Or,
I mean, like,
or
this isn't
prune it.
working, like,
Yes,
let's cut that off so, like, the stronger root can grow that stalk, and I do think
I
that's
love
one
that.
reason we've been able to stick together for so long is because when I went back to Paraguay and had that 6 months with him, we just hung out, like, all we did was each other, we just
Yes.
he comb my hair, he twisted my hair, he'd give me pedicures,
Oh, he got all up
I
in
like
that black girl magic. You getting all up in the hair, girl.
yeah, yeah, he was like I just taught him oh my gosh, I get compliments. He does my hair, sometimes he does Bantu knots, and people are like, "Oh, your hair looks beautiful," and I'm like, "Oh, my husband does it." And we didn't have money when we had the 7 kids, and
Right.
so what we would do for dates was I'd get the kids to bed by 7, I'd buy a bottle of wine, we'd listen to the blues or something, or jazz, and he'd do my hair, and I'd read poetry in Spanish, and it was just a way to connect, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's those, as my friend Wendy would always say, it's those tender moments
yeah.
that allow you to bridge those difficult times, or
Mhm,
those times where it could be a little bit challenging to verbally communicate. So y'all had
mhm.
nonverbal communication going on that was probably stronger than any words that you might have been able to say.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah, and I mean, also too, I mean, I'm one of these people who kind of believes in karma and reincarnation and all that
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
And I know we've been together in several lifetimes. And, also, figuring out what was our sort of karmic, what was the lesson? I mean, you could call it karma, whatever. What is the lesson that I'm here to figure out?
Yeah.
And what is his lesson? And so, and they match, right? And
Hmm.
so we don't drag ourselves forward. I didn't want to drag that it's like disease
Yeah.
forward in this life, and I don't want to drag it forward with him in another life. So, really, that's what this time has been about so far. This year has been about clearing that up so I can go forward clean.
That's awesome. I think that you are setting an example for
Mm,
other Black women who are perhaps struggling in a relationship that has some stagnant areas.
mm,
Um, are giving them a different way to think about how to move forward, because we're in, let's just forget about it,
mm,
culture, cancel culture, right? So divorce is that's part of cancel culture. I don't feel like dealing with it anymore, so let's just move our separate ways. But I think
mm.
what you're doing is opening minds and hearts to viable options to continue in a partnership.
Yeah, yeah, and I had to go home, during this trip. I had to go home for 6 weeks for a family emergency,
Hmm.
and so I'm actually writing this blog post about, some reflections on the marriage sabbatical. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm suddenly face to face with this person I'm taking this sabbatical from, and at one point, we had a little tiff, and I could see us falling back into these old patterns of
Mm.
relating to each other, and I went to him and apologized. I said, "I'm sorry
Uh-huh.
I did that. That's from the old marriage. That
Wow.
that that way of responding to you is from the old marriage. That's not what we're gonna do. Let's talk
That's
about
not
now."
our current agreement.
Right. What are we gonna do now? And I did. I apologized to him and I said, "So, what is it that you want in this new marriage?" And he said, "I wanna take care of you and the children," just like he had promised that he wanted
Yeah.
to do way, way back. And I said, "Great. Thank you. Thank you
Uh-huh.
for taking care of me."
Right. Right.
Because
That is
that's also me learning to accept.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pretty old school, so if you're not gonna take care of me, what I need you for? I mean,
Right.
listen, I do a pretty darn good job by myself, but I had to
Exactly.
learn that, right? I had to learn how
Mm,
to walk on my own 2 feet as an adult woman. But now it's like, yes, I would love to have someone say, I want to take care of you. And I'm not just talking about finances. You
yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
probably the smallest component as far as I'm concerned, the smallest component
Mm,
of care. But this has been a great relationship conversation. But I want to just pivot back to some of the other types of nomadic travel outside of trusted house sitters, because the majority of the Sisters Who Sit group, Facebook group, are part of trusted house sitters. Many
mm,
are interested in how to move forward and parlay that experience into paid sits and more sits abroad. And you have found unique ways to combine earning income, staying for free, and getting the experiences that you want. So let's talk a little bit about some of those other options.
sure. Well, I'm not earning income.
Okay.
Right, yeah, right now I'm living off of, some savings, and then my mother left me some money, so I'm using that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The way I'm traveling kind of half of the year, when I'm not house sitting is through Workaway, which is a program where you, do 20 to 25 hours a week of work in exchange for room and board.
Okay.
So far this year, I worked, let's see, I, helped a lady who had, 2-year-old twin boys, and she was just exhausted, in England, rainy England.
Uh-huh.
Then I was in Scotland for a couple of weeks, helping this lovely family with their children and their garden and cooking, and she's one of my friends now. She invited me
Yeah.
to come back, which is
That's the best thing about this lifestyle, is that you just pick up friends along the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the Croatian, yeah, I did the Croatian things through Workaway,
Okay.
and now I'm at Albania at this retreat center in exchange for working in the kitchen. So I do
Hmm.
20-25 hours a week in the kitchen, and
You cooking
and that's
soul food in that kitchen? You exposing them to the culture?
her menu. But last night she did a 4th of July party, and I made apple tarts, and people flipped for those, so that was really nice.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And the next couple of months, I'll be in Turkey with women around my age. One is a little bit younger than me, one's my age, and I'll be staying with them, and they just want to practice their English. So they just want to hang out and improve their conversational skills. So I'm a chatter, and both of them live really close to the water. So I'm excited about just being by
Nice.
the
You know,
water.
that's my happy place. If I can
Yeah.
see, smell, breathe in water any kind of way,
Hmm.
that's where I
Yeah.
want to be. So that
But with
sounds phenomenal.
Workaway, yeah, Workaway, you don't have to just do kind of like childcare or cooking or
Yeah.
farm work or whatever. You can do like I've seen people who are looking for people to set up their websites or digitize their photographs, help them with their social media platforms if it's a new business. What else have I seen? Like some people want help promoting their products. So
Yeah.
it's a really excellent thing. It's like 35 bucks a month, 35
Uh-huh.
bucks a year to
Uh-huh.
join.
Okay.
The I would say the positive is that if you're interested in learning about a culture, it's the best way because you're immersed with the family and you're hearing the
Right.
language and seeing how
Right.
people live. The drawback is that there's no vetting like there is with trusted house sitters.
Mm.
They don't have a background check. So I just have gone off of like how does it feel? Like
Yes.
talking about intuition, how does it feel
Yeah.
during the interview?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you brought that up because there is sometimes a level of anxiety, right? I
Mhm.
don't know what I'm getting into. And I like to use the analogy that trusted house sitters is like, picking an Airbnb. If you
Mhm.
don't like the photographs,
Mhm.
then and you don't like the assignment, then don't apply for it. But at least you, for the most part, know what you are getting into. With
Mhm.
Workaway, you're saying that it's not that same level.
No, they
Yeah.
don't have a background check. I mean, that's the
Hmm.
one thing that's different, but
Okay.
I still use the same intuition like I use with trusted house sitter.
Yeah. Yeah. You
But
you got to use your gut.
yeah, and one of the things too is that since you don't sign a contract with them, they could tell you to leave at any time if they feel like you're not working for them,
Right.
or you
Right.
can say like this isn't working for me, I've got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
And
got
from
to have the financial fortitude to be able to make that move.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta have your plan B because you might show up and like, "Oh, no." And I
Hmm.
had an experience where and now I've learned from this experience that when I talk to someone, I'm gonna ask them for, a video tour of the
Yep.
place
Yep.
because one place I went to, the lady was a hoarder and her house
Hmm.
was really unhealthy. I mean, like, there's, like, black mold growing on the
Ooh.
wall. It
Yeah.
was bad. It was really
Yeah.
bad. Fortunately, I was sleeping in the backyard in a camper, and I was
Uh-huh.
there to help her daughter with her children. This is when I was taking care of the twins, helping with the
Uh-huh.
twins,
Uh-huh.
and her house was perfect.
Yeah.
But if I would have had to have stayed in that house, I would have left that day. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Of
can't stay
course,
here. This
because
is
you're not going to
unhealthy.
jeopardize your own health. No,
Mm-mm. Nope.
absolutely not. And that's what I tell the sisters in the group: do your due diligence and learn
Mhm.
to trust your instincts. If something doesn't look right, doesn't sound right, then just feel free to say no.
Yep.
You have the
Exactly.
power. You have the power. I see that
Mhm.
it's getting dark where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're gonna wrap this up, and my last question is, and I'm just gonna put it out there: where is your happy place?
My garden. My garden is my happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just brings me so much peace to be out there. I just feel so much joy touching the earth and hearing the birds and just and we have critters. We've got
Yeah.
raccoons and possums and groundhogs and moles
That
and
comes along with the
foxes,
territory, right?
deer. Yeah, and then they come in and they eat the garden. I say some for them, some for me. But yeah, that's my happy place is my
Yeah,
garden.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I encourage women, find your happy place wherever.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be a destination. It doesn't have to be a physical location. Your happy
Mhm.
place could be on your patio, swinging in
Right.
the breeze. But you
Yeah.
must find your happy place, and once you find it, protect it and make sure that you stay centered so that you can be
Right.
good for not only other people but primarily for yourself. So I
Yeah,
want to thank you. Thank you for
sure.
joining me at this
Yeah,
late hour where you are.
yeah. And also, your happy place has got to be in your mind.
First
Make
and
that.
foremost, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always laughing at myself, and I have a thing on my wall that says, "Blessed are those who can laugh at themselves, because they'll never cease to be amused." So, I go inside my head and I find my happy.
There you go. There you go. It's all inside. That's what I say. Everything you need is inside. You just got to tap in. Well,
Right.
thank you for tapping in tonight with me. I appreciate it. You got a glass of wine?
No,
Okay.
I have water. I got water. No,
Uh,
last night at the party I had a couple of glasses. So, but cheers.
cheers. Cheers. Hopefully, we will meet up someplace in the world. We keep talking about this, but it hasn't happened yet. But I am certain that it will. Thank you for joining me and the sisterhood tonight. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so great to talk to you. Call me sometime. Yeah.
I definitely will. You know, I got your WhatsApp. You ain't got to tell me twice because you know I'm coming to that backyard whenever I come back to the DC area. I'm be like,
Okay,
yo, so,
right on.
is that outside couch still available?
Oh yeah, I got a couple of hammocks now, and the tub nice and bubbly. Got bubbles.
I love it. I love it. You are a gem. Thank you so much for joining me. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. All
All right.
right.
Peace and blessings.
Take care. Alrighty.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.